Friendship supreme. Friendship supreme. Finding the geek within.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael.
This is Cleve.
This is Stephanie.
And welcome back to another exciting episode of Friendship
Supreme.
Can you roll your R, Steph?
No.
Okay, good.
I was going to try, but I don't want to. It's embarrassing, so
Okay,
no.
well, that's good. We're the podcast that dares to ask, what's the most racist shit Disney's ever done?
Oh, man. There's so many of those. Just down the line.
News has come out that the Splash Mountain ride is going to be redesigned to look more like, or be themed on by
Princess and the Frog.
Themed by Princess and the Frog. Thank you, sir.
Wow,
Can't
they're
speak
going
English today.
full circle from what it's actually themed after.
Yes, yeah, yes. First question I have for you guys, is this only because of what the current state of affairs is in this nation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had so many
Because-
years to change this up, and they haven't.
I know you have
Until
windows up. Could you happen to tell me when that ride...
Originally
built?
happened? It was in the 91. Yep, 90. Oh, no, sorry. 80s. Sometime in the 80s. I can pull it up, sorry.
Okay. Because, I mean, it's not like in the 90s it was cool. And...
What's that, racism?
2000s it was... Yeah, 2000s it was...
Nah, dog, racism's always in.
It's a new fad, man.
I mean, they could have even, after the movie wasn't even put on Disney Plus, they could have been like, we're not even going to put the movie on Disney Plus. Let's change this right up a little.
That's what's frustrating to me, is that they openly are like, we're not gonna, because you know what, to me, and we've talked about this several times on here, like, own it, put it on there, put a disclaimer, hey, sorry, the guy in charge then was super dumb. So
July 17th, 1989.
yeah, that's not that's sadly during the time still where it was very present.
If it was built last year, man, it'd still be built in the time where it's present. This year.
Fair.
So amidst the statues being torn down, the protesting, this was something that came up.
You know what? That's why, because they didn't want anybody fucking up their shit.
If this is just a PR stunt for Disney, is this still a positive in your guys' mind, or is this empty?
Steph?
I mean, it seems like it's better than not changing it. Like,
Here's the problem, is if we change it because we know it's wrong, fine. But if we change it to appease something going on, then it doesn't count as much. It would have been great if somebody would have been like, hey, isn't that shit super fucking racist? And they'd have been like, oh man, it is. We should probably, let's make note to change that.
Yeah.
Or because let's cross-reference some shit here. So, Michael, what year did that ride come?
1989.
Okay, let's see. 1989?
Mhm.
Princess and the Frog came out in 2009.
Yeah.
So,
What
taking
happened?
I think it would have been more meaningful if they definitely changed it before
Fire.
this year. Anytime before this year.
So I will say that rarely does a movie come out and almost instantly a ride appears. I will say that Frozen, the movie came out 2013, November 2013. By summer of 2016, they had redone redone is optimistic. They changed the ride in Norway at Epcot and themed it all to Frozen. So 3-year turnaround. Well, yeah, About 3 years.
Okay.
Is the
So-
quickest.
Why
I've
did they
ever
do
seen
it
come out.
everywhere else then? They changed it in one country, but not anywhere else.
No. Oh,
Oh,
man, yeah, we all need to go to Disney. That'd be fun. No, Epcot, the theme park, it has a place called the World
Oh.
Showcase, and
Okay.
Norway happens to be the country that the story Frozen takes place. So that's the country in which you can
Okay.
meet those princesses and the rides there.
that makes sense.
Okay, cool. So Princess and the Frog has had 3 times that time for someone to have like, hey, just want to
So
leave another post-it note that says that's not cool.
we've talked about it before that Princess and the Frog does not receive real great accolades for whatever reason. It is one of my favorite films based on the soundtrack alone. But
Whatever reason.
I don't think there was any doubt that there were people out there that are real upset about. They're the same people. So the same people that didn't like Princess and the Frog are probably the ones that are upset that we're taking down Splash Mountain. But that being said, Princess and the Frog did not receive the accolades it deserved, and thus they have a princess appearance. And so you can meet Princess Tiana and you can meet Dr. Facilier. But you can only meet Dr. Facilier, as far as I know, in Disneyland because they have the French Quarter, New Orleans, or Port Orleans, New Orleans French Quarter section, whereas Disney World does not have that. So I don't believe they have Dr. Facilier often at Disney World. However, so you get to meet 2 characters, but now you get a whole ride.
Maybe that's a big part of it too. Maybe before, if we changed it, we would upset this many people, but changing it upset this many people. So now it has turned over its head where, the people who are
Basically
upset about
now, less people would be upset than would be happy about
I think
it.
it's the same amount of people. I think it's just outweighed by the other group that is very much, hey, let's take all this racist shit that you guys have done down.
Yes. I think that's true. I think we've talked about this before. I make no mistake in saying that Disney is calculated and methodical about everything that they do in their PR moves. So I definitely think that if there was a smart move to be made, they're going to do it. This seems like an opportunity and a pretty easy one for them, considering the story behind Splash Mountain.
Yeah, but that sucks. This is just a convenient business move now.
Agreed. But that's also the same thing as a lot of these businesses. But it is moves to be made in the right direction. And the way I look at it is that while we look at it as an empty gesture, think of how exciting it is now. Even so we've joked about how Princess and the Frog, the Tiana is a frog for 80% of the film. But now every little black girl growing up has a Disney princess to look to. And while
Right.
only one, you still have that. And you still have, now you'll have a ride that's based on this. And not just any ride. This is a huge ride. This is a big deal. This is a long-ass
Right.
line. This is going to be a good attraction. And I think they're going to put some really good effort into it because there's so much attention behind it. So again, yes, the adults are going to look at this and say, this is shitty. But I'm hoping that means generations to come will have something to benefit from that.
I mean, we gave a princess from Agrabah before a black princess, and that place ain't even real.
But have you ever noticed how incredibly white they look?
Fair.
That was always
Also-
an interesting contention I had about that film. I don't know. It just always felt weird that this is supposed to be in the Middle East and they're very pale skinned.
They made sure to give Jasmine a tan,
Yeah.
a good tan, but everybody else, pretty fair.
Especially in the Broadway. I think the one you and I saw. Yeah, that's right. Cleve and I saw Broadway. We're cultured.
You saw Aladdin on Broadway and didn't invite me?
We both took our significant others as, I believe, Valentine's Day gifts or something. I don't remember. Christmas.
Mine was for Jen's birthday, so that's a
Right,
shot at
right.
Derek.
Ooh, I don't know what.
Derek's slipping. If he texted us, we could have been like, "Hey, man, these tickets are going." And he would have been like, "No, that's cool."
Stephanie, do you want to go see it next time it's in town? I'll make sure that we also include you.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen it once. I think I'm good.
I thought it was good.
It was good, but I don't need to. I don't need to a multiple viewing. I live in the magic that I had.
All right, so let's dive into this racist ride and talk about why it is a good time to go ahead and change it. So, actually, just history about the ride in general is kind of interesting to me. So, the original ride, in case you didn't know this, Walt was quite a huge fan of Uncle Remus stories collected by Joel Chandler Harris. Sorry, it's a mouthful. I had to write it down so that I remembered exactly what it was called. Which are stories. Have any of you guys ever seen Song of the South? Or clips of it at all, anything?
Parts, yes.
So Uncle Remus is the main character in Song of the South and tells a bunch of different stories. So one of those stories is the story of the Briar Rabbit. That is the entire premise of Splash Mountain. So anyway, interesting facts. Briar Rabbit is actually voiced by the same person that voiced Wacko Warner from Animaniacs. Thought that was interesting. I got to see them live last year. The controversial thing that they changed about the ride from the story is that Briar Rabbit gets tricked by Briar Fox and Briar Bear. That's all their names are, by the way, and I hate that. They catch him, and the way that they catch him is by using something called a tar baby. This is a baby made of tar that looked like a American slave. And so the Briar Rabbit thought that it was actually a slave and went to go try to save him. You looking up tar baby right now?
I am.
So in the ride, they felt that was a little too on the nose.
On the nose?
Yeah. And decided that they were going to use honey to catch him. So they made it look like the bunny was hungry and wanted honey, and he was stuck in a honeycomb. Thought that was interesting.
Like, they knew then that it wasn't a good idea. Don't do it.
Correct.
Right. When they go, what about that one part? And they go, oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's not do that.
We shouldn't do this. Yeah. But the catchy song, man.
Fair.
They had
Can't let that go.
They played 2 songs in it: Happy Place, or Laughing Place, and Zippity Doo Dah, for anybody that would like to know that. One more little fun tidbit, since that one was kind of a little darker. There's a little gopher in it when you're going through, and he sneezes. It sounds like he's saying achoo, but apparently the Imagineer that worked on this was from Florida State University. So if you listen real carefully, he actually says FSU.
Oh, nice.
That's fun. Imagineers really enjoy what they do, so they make a lot of fun out of this. So this is gonna have some segues. Please feel free to interrupt me if you guys want, or if you have any questions. In 1980, Splash Mountain was going to be created. Michael Eisner was the CEO at the time, and I know you guys aren't huge into Disney history, but Michael Eisner is known for making terrible decisions, but keeping the company afloat during a really rough time. So, he saved their company economically, but was just an ass about a lot of decisions. And most people that love Disney for the child aspect of it and the fun don't care for Michael Eisner most of the time. You'll find a couple here and there that do. However, when Splash Mountain was going to be created, when they came up with the idea, he sat down with a bunch of Imagineers and said, I want this. They said, here's what the ride will look like. This is kind of our idea. We want a log flume where you ride on the log in water and you drop down and stuff like that. I said, fine, I don't care. We have a movie coming out, and I need you guys to make this movie the center of this attraction. And I think I've talked to you guys about this before, and possibly even on this podcast, but Michael Eisner wanted this entire attraction to be surrounded around the Tom Hanks film coming out that summer, Splash. because he wanted to make advertisement for this film and push this film. Just let that kind of sit with you, knowing, like I said, both you guys have not been to Disney in a long time, if you have been, and I don't know that you guys would remember Splash Mountain necessarily, but nowhere in a Disney park does the movie Splash really belong there. Maybe at Hollywood Studios, I guess. But anyways, really fought for this, and the Imagineers were like, absolutely not. Somehow they landed on the fact that Walt loved the stories by Uncle Remus so much that they're like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. They can make something out of that.
So from one bad decision to just another one.
Right.
Kissing the boss's ass.
The way that Michael Eisner got this to be funded was because he was in conversation with McDonald's at the time, who had done some advertising for them and had purchased rights to sell toys and such, and convinced them, hey, let's do something where you have the exclusive rights to advertise for Splash Mountain. It's not even out yet. It's going to come out on this exact date. We have everything ready. Here's the stuff we're willing to give away as prizes. Do everything you can. So they came out with commemorative mugs. They came out with toys. They had a whole thing just like their Monopoly game, but it was all around Splash Mountain. They were months and months and months delayed because Michael Eisner kept trying to cut costs. To the point where Disney got so pissed off, they said, fuck it, we want nothing to do with you guys anymore, and pulled out.
It's always good to save money on something that people will be on.
So they completely pull out. And think about the implications of that. At the time, they had a lot of connection with them. They were making Happy Meal toys. They were one of the only fast food restaurants making Happy Meal toys. And they said, we're so pissed off because during their contract with them, they weren't able to do any. So when they had that contract, once they signed it with Splash Mountain and all that, they no longer could make toys for other movies. So they couldn't make toys for Star Wars. They couldn't make toys for Batman.
Oh, dang, they lost out on so much money.
Right. Batman. Which one had the penguin? Was it the first Batman or the second Batman?
Batman Returns.
Thank you. Okay, so the first Batman, they couldn't make toys because, fun story, they made toys for Batman 2, and we can talk about it on another episode someday. It ruins kids' toys forever. They lose this contract because they lost all this money, and they're like, we're done with you guys. They then spend the next 20 years just trying to get back a contract with them because 20 years, 15 years. 1998 is when they finally, or not 1998, 1991. Oh yeah, 1991. Burger King had a contract for all their all the stuff that they came out with, Aladdin, Toy Story, all those fun toys. And then 1998 was the memorable moment that Disney came back because they had it for Mulan, which then they came up with the Szechuan sauce, which everybody in the world's now heard of thanks to Rick and Morty. Those are fun facts about this ride. Something interesting that doesn't necessarily pertain to this topic, so I apologize for going down this road as well, but interesting enough, the creator of Disney, Walt, and the creator of McDonald's, Roy Kroc, if I remember correctly, both served in World War I as ambulance drivers together. And later on, the creator of McDonald's had 4 franchises and wrote Walt wrote him a letter saying, hey, we served together. Do you remember, we were in the same ambulance, we drove together, would you be willing to help me out? I see you guys are about to open Disneyland. I would love to put a restaurant in there. And they're like, absolutely not. He goes, you guys are basically a small town chain. I don't care about you guys. And was trying to get all these big names in, including Aunt Jemima, by the way.
Well, McDonald's showed him.
Right. Well, later on, yeah. So then in the 1980s is when Michael Eisner came back and said, we want you. Please come back. Okay, so let's go back to the ride. They have not announced exactly what they're going to do. There will be a Mardi Gras scene, I believe. Towards the end, there will be lots of Princess and the Frog theme. I don't think they're going to change the actual ride at all. Like the physical, what happens in the ride is not going to change.
Right. Yeah, that makes
surroundings.
But it seems like it's set up for a really good change, especially with the location at Disneyland. Disney World's theming is a little differently in the areas, but should still work just fine. The voice of Princess Tiana, Anika Nani Rose, had this to say about it. It is really exciting to know that Princess Tiana's presence in both Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom will finally be fully realized. As passionate as I am about what we've created, I know that the fans are going to be over the moon. The Imagineers are giving us the Princess and the Frog Mardi Gras celebration we've been waiting for, and I'm here for it. And then the senior creative producer of Imagineering said, like Princess Tiana, I believe that courage and love are the key ingredients for wonderful adventure, and I'm delighted to be a part of bringing this fun-filled experience to our guests. So to round it all out, while yes, I agree that this is, or while I stand by the fact that this is absolutely a PR decision and kind of empty-handed gesture, I think that the people behind it are going to go into it with the fullest intention of making this as great of a ride as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was long-winded. I apologize.
No. As
it could have been a ride all about mermaids, man.
I
It
mean,
could have been.
if it was, we could have used that black fish with the big red lips and
Little Mermaid?
huh?
Blackfish with big or are we just referring to racist caricatures?
Well, I mean, yeah, we don't have to lose out, you know.
Right, okay.
Good. We can.
I wasn't sure if you were pointing to, because Fantasia. Yes, Fantasia. Sorry, I had to think about it. Fantasia had a scene that I believe they've cut out in Disney Plus that is of a very much caricature drawing of two black satyrs. They're little kids. Satyr is like Phil from. Okay, yeah. Interesting. I don't know that I remember that from Little Mermaid.
Yeah, they sneak it in on you, man. That's how Disney works.
Yeah. There's lots of it out there, especially 90s and prior.
I'm a crow named Jim. Don't think about it.
Man.
Moving on. And he just kind of out the screen.
But this got me thinking, guys. This is exciting to me because, again, one of my favorite films. I think it'll be really fun to see come to life in an attraction. So I thought I would pass the question to you guys. What movies that don't have attractions would you guys like to see have attractions? And Stephanie, we're aware because of the last episode, you don't know what Disney films are. So if you need help, we're here to help you. And again, I know both you guys haven't been to a park in quite some time, so it is possible you might think of a ride that already exists.
I think like 8, 9, or 10 was the last time that I don't even remember the year. I remember my cousins got in trouble because they bought Mickey Mouse gloves. So they went like that, and they were going like this to each other. Mm. They got in trouble. Best memory I have there.
Yeah.
And then I wanted the saddest one is that I wanted a Donald Duck hat, and my mom told me no, and I couldn't get it.
I know what you're getting for your birthday.
I mean, those things are expensive.
I know exactly what you're getting for your birthday.
This was we went with a family and a full family, like all of my cousins, and we've never been back.
Let me tell you, because nowadays I go to Disney frequently, but I would tell you that before I met Katie, I think I went to Disney twice in my life. Once when I was like 7 or 8, and then when I was like 14.
Yeah.
Whatever age I was, I might have been 8. I remember having a picture of me wearing a backwards hat and I've not done that in quite some time. So it has been vast amount of time that has passed.
I would love to see that picture.
I'll take Miles and I'll take him to and I'll tell him about what used to be Splash Mountain.
That'd be cool. You also get to see Spider-Man on MCU campus, but
Ooh.
Marvel campus is they'll have, Anyway, sorry.
But will they have Miles?
I would hope so.
I would think that stays Disney's World or Sony's World.
Maybe. Well,
That'd be cool though if Miles got to meet Miles.
Sony's like, look, fuck off. We're letting you use Spider-Man. Can you leave us some stuff, even though they're not using it?
Universal is though, and they're paying them good money for it.
Oh, that's where I'll take my trip. Are any of their rides racist? I feel like they flop theirs out pretty often.
They do.
Their rides aren't as good as Disney's.
So if it is racist,
I don't know about that.
They have taken it down within the past couple of years.
Enough. They have a whole section in Orlando. They have a whole section that's dedicated to old school cartoons. So I think you could find something in there. But
which, you know what? Like, that's all we're asking for. Like, nobody's perfect, and don't get me wrong. It's not like there was ever a good excuse for owning slaves, but the moment that the world is like, hey, the world decides it's wrong, and we're like, let's put Splash Mountain up. Like, you know, when do we say, all right, it's like old tweets, man. You can delete them, but someone's got a screenshot. Someone's got a screenshot somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Steph, what do you got? What's your ride, girl?
Well, I'm sure I've mentioned it on this podcast several times, but it's one of my favorite movies, so I want The Great Mouse Detective to have its own ride. I know, I've mentioned it 100 times. I knew you'd guess it.
Okay, so yeah.
Rescuers was not my second choice.
Well, fair. I want a Rescuers Down Under ride. Would love that.
That'd be cool. Both about mice.
They could do that. I could see it being something like the Mr. Toad's
Wild ride.
Ride. Wild ride, yeah.
You could be riding on the dog. That could be your ride.
It could be fun. But it is an older film, so I don't think you're going to get it.
I don't think so either, but I really
The time's come and gone.
Another film that I feel like wasn't done well, or wasn't treated well, but Disney has a history of that.
Not necessarily a ride, but a photo ops. But can we get the Aristocats, and then everybody can grab an instrument, and then we can keep the Asian little cat? Because I feel like if we're moving Splash Mountain, we need something else racist to replace it.
Good.
It's directed at a different race.
If you're not good with that, then we can do a Lady and the Tramp ride, and we can try to keep the fish away from the outrageously racist cats.
So we would. You just really want to make sure that we get something in there about the Asians.
And if you're not good with that,
okay, good.
I know that they've done it already, but there could be a Peter Pan ride, and it can be like a little ride where we drive through the Red Men.
Yeah, Princess Tiger Lily and her dad. I think Cleve's trying to make a point here. Disney's done
if you're not good with
shit, guys.
If you're not good with that, we can probably have like a Christmas themed one where there's perhaps maybe a mammy doll that can help Santa. And if you're not good with that, we could probably have a Three Little Pigs ride, and the big bad wolf could probably dress like he's Jewish and try to sneak in.
All right, Cleve, what's your real answer, man?
I have a couple of actual ones. I have Ratatouille, and it could be just like a Cookie Mama type game.
Is a ride, and that's not your fault. Sorry, I didn't read that off when I gave you the list. It's in Paris.
We could do Frankenweenie, and it could just be like Build-A-Bear.
Is Frankenweenie Disney?
I believe so.
Did one of you just become me?
Man,
We'll see which one
it
of
is.
us.
Wow, yeah. I mean, it's a mark on the history of Disney, but yeah, sure.
This is the company you worked for, man, not me. um,
No, I just meant like I don't remember that movie enough to be like, yes, that movie.
I just looked up Disney movies that I kind of enjoyed. I enjoyed that
That's
one.
fair.
Or Up. It could be a VR, maybe like a Flying the Millennium Falcon type thing, where you're like steering the house.
That'd be fun.
You could have furniture that shifts as you're.
I could see being kind of like Soarin'. Soarin' is one where you lift up real high and you kind of like fly through America.
Yeah.
And see all the different things there.
Also, is Moana not a ride yet?
It is not a ride. However, they are making an attraction. They're basically going to make an area outside of one of the themed areas in Epcot. And it's going to be an interactive water experience. And what that means is there will be fountains shooting water everywhere.
Oh.
So, park for kids.
Will there be a woman who is supposed to be a Moana character who kind of like shoots it in different directions?
Ooh, that'd be fun. I imagine she will be there, yes, but I don't know if she'll interact with it.
Because that'd
be
great.
Really cool if they had sensors somehow and the kids control water.
It's supposed to be it's going to be all new age tech shit, so I imagine it's going to be cool. So the two rides that I have for you guys are one actually almost did come to be, or it was kind of a hoax. The second one, so the first one I'll start with.
I don't know what your guesses were for me.
Oh, my guesses for you. I knew that PageMaster was not technically Disney, but now it's owned by Fox, it was Fox and now it's owned by Disney. So I thought maybe PageMaster or the Brave Little Toaster, because both could be good rides.
Those would be
and
good
those
rides.
Both feel like ones that you would have liked. I don't know if you remember PageMaster or not.
I do.
It's a solid film. It was one of the only Macaulay Culkin films I liked. And Christopher Lloyd was in it. Yeah, he was the P. The two that I could see being done, and one would almost be themed similar to Space Mountain. So in Disney Paris, they had a Jules Verne themed Space Mountain instead of it being just regular Space Mountain, and it was really cool. I think that they could turn Space Mountain into a Treasure Planet kind of ride, and I would love the shit out of that. Because Treasure Planet is the most underrated Disney film of all time. Of all time. I'll put that down right now.
Tell us how you really feel.
So the second one is actually, so interestingly enough, there were lots of controversy behind the submarine ride in Disneyland, and they kept trying to save money, and they're like, let's just scrap it. And they had the Imagineers that were a part of that team were so invested and loved the ride so much because it was one of the rides they had worked on. He went out and got a naval officer to come in and inspect the submarines that they had there, because they're real submarines. And they said, you guys have easily 75 years more in these submarines. You'd be foolish to just throw them out. And so they convinced them to just let it sit there for a little while, and they'd come out with something. Well, at one point in time, there were rumors that the movie Atlantis was going to get its own ride, and it was going to be that. And they were going to turn that into an Atlantis ride. Well, Michael Eisner basically said, no, we're not willing to spend that kind of money. We need to be saving money. So Imagineers thought it'd be really funny to put a big old tent over the submarines and put a sign that said, coming soon, Atlantis Exploration, and put a summer date of like 2 years after it was posted. And they freaked out. It lasted 2 days. The sign lasted 2 days, and every person that went by it took pictures of it and were talking about it, and it blew up. And so people thought it was going to be a ride, and it never did become one. But
they didn't pull the trigger after all the hype after it? That's surprising.
Costume was
right.
But you when you know that you have interest behind it, it typically pushes people into doing it.
Both those films have a cult following, so while there was hype, I don't think it was the same amount of hype that like Nemo has, because that's what it became. It's now like slightly Nemo themed. The submarine, I think they can make a better ride than just the submarine one, but there's a lot going on in that ride that they could be doing all kinds of fun shit with, or that movie. But again, that movie is not well liked. Neither is Treasure Planet. Not sure why. They're the underground cult followings for both.
Can we make is there a Lion King ride?
There is not a Lion King ride. There are attractions dedicated to it. There is the live show.
I was just thinking you could be on a treadmill and there could be hurdles that look like buffalo that come at you and then you have to dodge them.
Like the wildebeest? Yeah, I like it.
You just, and then you can hurdle some. And
good news for you,
would have
though.
made it like Simba.
Good news for you. Does at some point just a dead cat flop in front of you and you have to go, Dad?
No, you get a little bad. It says, congratulations, Hakuna Matata.
Man.
Oh, you know what else I want? I also want Fern Gully. You can teach kids about saving the trees.
Avatar.
That is Disney.
Ferngully?
Yeah. I just looked it up just
There's
because
no
I was
way,
like, I don't know.
because the same time that
There's a standoff.
Ferngully was happening is the same time that Aladdin was happening, and it was a big deal between Robin
Just kidding.
Williams
It's
and-
not Disney.
Okay.
I saw like Fern Gully Disney Plus or something. And I was like, okay, well,
Ferngully almost, or because of Ferngully, Robin Williams almost didn't become the genie because he loved the project he was working on with Ferngully. And they basically, Disney said, you can't do that while you're working for us. And he said, I'll choose them over you right now. And they're like, just kidding, you can do it, whatever, it's no big deal.
Well, because he was arguably the star in both of them.
Yeah.
Aladdin for sure. But also
Ferngully as well.
pretty strong in Ferngully.
Yeah.
And then that very sensual toxin. Sucking on that pipe. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Man, there's a couple different things we've talked on that we could go into whole entire episodes about. But anyways, let us know what rides you guys would like attractions to be based off of. Also, let us know what your feeling is on the Princess and the Frog thing. I think we're all pro Princess and the Frog ride. I just think that we all kind of agreed that it feels like an empty
under
gesture.
better circumstances.
Like it would have come earlier.
I want it to be because you know it's right, not because everyone's telling you it's wrong.
Same thing with like Aunt Jemima. The fact that this is what it took to be like, hey, that's probably not good.
Every time I see that at somebody's house, I'm like.
Also, I think
First
it's
of all, I'm
great
way
that
too
they're
cheap.
doing like the Little Mermaid, the Black Little Mermaid, which is great if Corona didn't happen. And eventually we'll get it. But can we just make like another Disney princess? Add one?
And then some.
That
Yeah.
would involve,
They give you one. All right.
Like they need to keep going.
So here's your problem. Why Disney keeps cranking out white princesses is because they can steal that material from Christian Hans, whatever, I can't remember his last name right now.
Yeah.
If they ever have a minority princess, they have to come up with their
A whole new
own
story.
and that's tough for them. That's real hard. Let us know if you guys are excited for the Princess and the Frogs ride. I know I will be there. I probably won't ride it for like 5 years after it comes out because, it's crazy to wait in those lines. But anyways, if you guys want to let us know, you guys can comment down below on this video. If you're watching it, if you're not watching it, you guys can let us know at home through our social medias.
Did you mean our Facebook and our Instagram and our Twitter that are all Friendship Supreme, except Twitters have no I's in the word friendship because they're typically on the YouTube channel? And if they're not on the YouTube channel, you can put your ears anywhere that there's a podcast. Sometimes you can hear it if you put your ear to the ground. We also have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Friendship Supreme. And I mean, I've never been opposed to free money, ever. And it's not even free because I'm working hard. We're pumping out all kinds of content. We have the Starstruck that is going strong. We have Animania. Michael and I are working on other ideas. We're posting video game content. We're everywhere.
We're on TikTok, but that's just our personal
We're on
names.
TikTok.
You can combine us. Anyways, guys, I've been Michael.
This is Cleve.
This is Stephanie.
Zippity doo dah, motherfucker. Stephanie's not on any social media, so if you want to, you know what? There you go. If you guys want to get a hold of Stephanie, Stephanie is here, and that is it.
Yeah.
There's no other social media you can find her on, so we've got the only Stephanie.
You're so cool and hip.